This is Meri at the Meri Atelier, and I'm going to do another tatting video. This is an unlisted stream. I will review it, and if it's okay, then I will make it public. I will publish it. So what am I going to do? Well, I've been practicing my longer threads here, my longer strings, putting as many as I can. I think I have 9 on here. I have 9. On this one, I think I have 12. Isn't that cool? This one will fit like on the corner of a page. So I'll be putting those in after I get done showing you what I want to show you. I have plenty of spaces in here to put things in. But I want to do a project. Why learn all of this if we're not doing a project? Let's do a project. I think that I have advanced enough that I can do a small project. And no, it's not going to be a butterfly. It's not going to be a flower. It's not going to be a bookmark. It's going to be a project of my own making. Yeah, what do you think Meri's going to do? Well, if you know Meri, all right. So I will kind of talk through this, but I may put a part of it into fast forward, because if you watched my last couple videos, I've talked through making double stitches. I've talked through making picots, I've talked through making rings, and I've talked through joining them. Not as a tutorial, but as me learning. So what I'm going to do is start out, and I'm going to leave a long tail this time. I'm going to do that on purpose. It's approximately 8 to 9 inches long, approximately. And I'm going to work off of the ball here. Oh, do I want to do that? No, let's pull it. I'm going to take it and separate it off. So about a yard, I want to do 3 rings, about a yard per ring approximately. And I'm going to measure nose to arm length. So there's 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to get a little bit more just because I'm leaving long tails. Let me snip this off. All right. Now Penelope's here with all of her needles, but she's kind of covering up that paper I have over here to keep the glare off of my, I have an art light right up there. So we're going to leave a long tail. That's about 12 inches. Let's make it a little shorter. And I'm doing that for a reason. That's about 8 inches. Approximate might be 9. And I've got my thread over here. Now I'm going to talk about, when I get there making the ring, something else I've discovered. I make these little discoveries along the way. But something I've discovered about making the ring, you always want to keep your tail out of the way. Keep your tail out of the way. All right. And I'm still kind of wrestling with making this first stitch. I'm learning. So this time I'm going to hold that thread under my needle and between my needle and my index finger on my right hand. And I want it approximately 1.5 to 2 inches down. And I'm going to try to hold it there. I'm not always successful at this. I'm learning. But I always get a longer thread than what I'm expecting. And I'm holding it right there. And I'm going to hurry up and make my first double stitch. And it's easier on the first ring than it is the other 2. But there we go. There's the first stitch. Now, I've played with making smaller rings. So let's just do let's just do 3 double stitches. We're going to make smaller rings this time. It's just 3 double stitches. I'm going to hold the tail over here because it's fairly long underneath of my fingers that I'm tatting with. So, and okay, I'm just going to do 3. There's 1 on the needle. This is 2 and 3. And then I'm going to make a picot. And since I'm making a smaller ring, I want my picot to be a little bit smaller, so not quite a 1/2 inch. Not quite a 1/2 inch. So I'm moving my finger. As you can see, I've got my finger kind of under those first 3 stitches there. And I would say maybe it's about 3/8 of an inch, maybe not. Well, yeah, maybe about 3/8. But it's going to be smaller than my other ring, my other picots. Hopefully. It's still pretty large, but we're going to leave it. I'm not going to worry about it. So now I'm just going to go through and make 3 rings on my needle, and I'll probably put this into fast forward. 1, okay, I'm going to stop at this point and zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. I also want to talk about making the ring and something else that I've discovered that makes my life a little bit easier. Let me get my thread on. No, Penelope, you can't have that thread. My thread here. And let me zoom in a little. There, that's a little more. Okay, you can see I have 3 picots on there. I'm ready to close up my first ring. You bring it down just as if you were doing the others. Now, I have this long tail. I'm going to hold that in my hand for a bit and bring it all the way down. But this time, instead of putting all my 4 fingers around it like this, I'm going to put it between my 3rd finger and my ring finger. And here's my thread here. You can see it's kind of not twisted, but it could easily twist. And I'm thinking by putting this needle, we need this thread to come down. Well, I didn't thread my needle. Let's go ahead and thread my needle. You need to have your, why do you thread the needle? Because you need it to thread, make your ring. And let me find the end of it here. Yes, I will go ahead and thread it. And this is going to be a project. I don't want this to be a huge video, but I do want to talk through the things that I'm learning. And if anybody's out there tatting, or just thinking about tatting, maybe watch some of these videos, the things I'm doing. I hope I inspire some of you to try this. My hands are a little shaky this morning. I'm not sure why, but it is what it is. Let me get this up to my face so I can see this better to thread it. There we go. And the tail here off of the needle, off of the eye of the needle, I don't need that so long. All right, now I'm going to make my first ring. I'm going to hold my tail off of my end of my ring here in my hand, just so it'll tangle a little, and kind of make sure all your picots and your caps are pointed the same way. Make this thread a little shorter because we don't want a huge long thread, double thread going through the shaft of our double stitches. Now I've got it down to the end. I'm going to place my needle between my third finger and my ring finger and do that kind of so that you have the stitches coming down. It maybe after you get it going here, but the object of this is as you're pulling the thread, let's get it all straightened out so that I can pull on it. As you're pulling that thread through, this hopefully will prevent, because it's kind of coming to go through here. I'm not sure what this loop is, but we're going to let it set there for a minute. That might be the tail peeking through there, because it is coming through nice. And see, as I have it going through here, it's preventing my thread from getting tangled up right close to the bottom of my ring. And I find that helps me a lot. If you pull on this too fast, it can all tangled up. Now I am using DMC thread here. This is not the same thread that I was using when I started out. This is a little bit nicer thread. And I think it's probably a size 20, maybe a size 10. I'm not sure. I get this at the thrift store and sometimes the labels are off of it. Let's see if I can see on here. Oh, this is JP Coats, not DMC. It just says knit crocheting JP Coats boil fast. And I don't see the size on there. But it's a little bit nicer thread than that thread that I was using in the other videos. Okay, I have my ring, and you can see I only left 3 double stitches in between. So my ring is smaller. It's a nice little ring. Now I'm going to go ahead and knot this. And when I knot it, I usually use my tail thread to go around like this rather than the needle, because it's shorter and it's just easier to do the knot. And I just make one and pull it tight. All right. So now that you've seen me talk about this a little, I'm going to go ahead and go into fast forward here in the interest of keeping this video shorter, because I want to do some other things too. And I'll go into fast forward and make my other 2 rings. So what I want to do, if I want to join this 3rd ring, the bottom of it, to the bottom of the 1st ring. And I know where the bottom of my 1st ring is because here's my tail. So what I do is I still have my tatting needle threaded. I just come through the bottom where the tail is off of my 1st ring and just come through like this and pull it through. Now this is a Meri project. I mean, I'm sure this is done in other projects, but I'm also sure that what I'm going to make is not done in other projects. I'm sure this is a Meri project, and you'll see. I'm not ready to tell you yet. I'm keeping you in suspense. What is Meri going to make? All right, now when I pull this tight, it should join the bottom of the first ring to the bottom of the third ring. And then I'm going to go back through here again and take another stitch just to secure it. And if you notice my hand's a little shaky, I think it's because I'm trying to do this under a camera. When I'm sitting in my chair, I'm more relaxed. I'm worried about what you guys are seeing. So I'm just pulling this thread. I went from the third ring underneath the first ring. Now I want to go back over into the third ring again. And just really all I'm doing is stitching them together. And I've got these tails to worry about, but I want a long tail, and I'll show you why. And yes, threads, it will tend to, and especially if you pull it fast, if you go slow, just go slow. There's no hurry in doing this. We aren't in a race. It's a journey, not a race. Now let's see what I'm doing here. I want to pull on this thread. Just pull it through. It will tend to, especially when it's been twisted and turned so much while I'm making my rings, it wants to twist up again. But if you kind of keep your fingers in there to keep it untwisted, just remember, it's a journey, not a race. They say that over at the crochet crowd. Mikey says that a lot. And in the knitting crowd, I like that saying. It's a journey, not a race. We're learning. I'm learning. So there's my little triangle. And I have a tail here, a long tail there. Now, I think I'll make an equally long tail on the other side. And you could make more than one. Maybe I will, since I have a lot of thread. Maybe I'll make another tail here just by stitching it in. If you do this, be sure that you have it knotted up a lot because it could come out. When I'm doing book binding and I'm putting my tassel on, I knot just about every loop of my tassel because I have had them come out again. So I'm just making a knot here, just as if I were making a tassel. And I'm going to knot it. Of course, it wants to. Hold on. Let's get our loops in there. All right, I've got 3 strings coming down here, and I've kind of got this going underneath, and it's pulling on the, let me come through this one. I haven't done this before, so let me straighten this out. There we go. Now I need to come through this. Hold on, Meri, we'll get it straight. And let me go through this one. I don't know how I got through so many loops. And I pulled it off my needle, but that's okay because after I tie this, after I tie it, I'm not going to put another thread on it. Let's just tie it here. I'll hold on to that one. Get my finger out there and put it there and pull this tight. And I don't trust that. So I'm going to make a couple more knots here at the end, just like a shoelace knot. In this case of what I'm making, it doesn't matter. I wouldn't, you know, if you're making a pretty doily or something like that, you may not want to put so many knots in it, but this doesn't. In fact, this probably secures it more. I'm comfortable with that. Alrighty. Yeah, let's see what I have here. There we go. And we can let this 4th needle thread fall down. So I actually have four threads there. I'm going to cut it off right about here, I believe. Now, what are you going to make, Meri? Well, I will show you. I will show you. Oh, look what I have. Bobby pins. So there's my bobby pin. Now, I'm going to put my bobby pin. It's got a little kick there. See that little kick at the end? I'm going to put the flat side to the back, and I'm just going to thread it through that little triangle area there. A little triangle formed, little spot formed by it. And then I'm going to take 2 of my threads, 2 of my 4 threads. If I had 3, I would do 2 and 1, but we're going to take 2 of them and wrap it around, pull it up into the loop of the bobby pin. And we're going to tie this on like this. There we go. And let's tie it again just to secure it. Just like that. Now, I like threads that hang. To me, I like it for what I'm doing. This is a bobby pin embellishment. I have a couple that I've made. Well, in fact, I got 3 of them here. This one doesn't have as many threads on it, but it is with the smaller loops. And I have one I made with this green thread here, and then I have a larger one. I think this was probably my first one. Now what I've been doing is taking this art glitter glue, because I know it dries fast, and I've been securing them up at the top here so it doesn't fall off of the needle. And I just do that with a little dab. And of course, there we go. And a little dab there. Get it up on the dab. And then I turn it over and put some on the back. And then I'll set this aside and let that dry.